chazozis of the esrog. Yeah, holding page 233. Also chazozis, tes. What is a chazozis? Pirush. The Ramos says in parentheses, Targum o yalefes o chazozin. We speak about a defect on an animal. It's a type of scab. In Bishnayim Shloshim Mekomos, if you have this chazozis, that means something that grows on the skin. That's a chazozis. It's not a discoloration. Chazozis means it's an adhesion, something which attaches itself to the skin. It's a growth on the skin itself. Posul. Vim b'mochem echod, if it's only one location. Im olo al ruba posul. If it covers the majority, the esrog gets posul. Vim al chotmo. If it's on the nodule that comes up, that's the upper part. We'll see what the chotim is. Definitely the very upper part. We're not talking about the upper third. It's where it curves upwards, the nodule. Avil koshu posul. The chotmo, now he says, what is the chotem? Because the chotem literally means the nose. Hainu mok shemaschil liskatze lischadeit klapi rosho. It's where it gets narrow and it becomes pointy towards the top. Okay, that's the nodule. So where it's wide, it's towards the very top of the esrog. So if you have a chazozis, you have this scab on any part of that, even to the smallest degree, it's possible. It's not a bruise. It's not a bruise. Chazozis, it's not a wart. It's something which is on top of the skin. Okay, let's see the Mishna Berura. Also chazozis. Bein betolish, bein b'mechuber. Whether it happened after it was detached from the tree or when it was attached. Ela binon shi gavoa mishara esrog. This. See, it's not a discoloration in the skin. If it's a discoloration in the skin, if you run your finger across it, it's smooth. This is like a bump. It's like an adhesion. It's attached to the skin. It's something which rises above the skin. But it's attached. It's attached to cannot be detached from the esrog. Posul, the merzi kimenumer. He says if it's 2 or 3 places, it's posul. You can't take it off. If you take it off, you're actually cutting into the esrog. It's interesting. We had earlier that there was a question that if you have a mashu missing of the esrog, remember we had earlier, we said according to one opinion it was kosher. It has to be missing as much as an iser, according to one opinion, the small coin. So let's say the chazozis is on the upper part, or any part. Let's say 2, 3 parts. If the issue is that it looks spotted, just remove it, right? Because it was also a question when we speak iser, does it have to be in one place? Do you combine all the locations together? But let's say it's slight on each part. You just cut it off. It should be kosher. That would be valid according to the lenient opinion. I mean, la'alocha u'machmir. U'machmir. So what? So what? Chaser it's not a problem. As long as it's less than the Yisr. But that's only according to one opinion. I'm just saying, if it's going to be possible, we said earlier that if you have no choice, we rely on the lenient opinion. Now, let's say you have no other esrog available. So we said, so if you have the chazoses in 2, 3 spots, it's possible. Nobody's arguing it's possible. So what's your choice? Just cut it off, right? And if when you remove it, it's going to be less than the iser, which usually it is. It's very small usually. These little growths on the skin, you're going to b'di'evid, as he says, b'shas adchak. It's going to be valid. A rubo. No, it's not. It's not manumri. That's not manumri. It's not manumri. That's earlier we had. Al-Rubo, but he says, what about if the chazozis is in one spot, it covers the majority? Hainu, rov kol shetach ha'esrog b'shnei tzodim. Ruba doesn't mean on one side, it means the majority. Posul, deinu hodor, because then already it's lacking in hodor. Afil kosher. What about if it's on the upper part where it starts slanting, gets narrow, and gets pointy? Afil kosher posul. Shenire shom leinayim. Yosem shom akumashba. We said this earlier. Just as we said, the top of a lulav, the point, the tip, because that's what's most obvious. That's what you see. So because the nodule, which narrows to the top, if you have the chazosas there, it's obvious immediately that detracts from the hodor of the esrog. Because that's what a person, the first thing that the person's eyes gaze upon is the upper part of the esrog. It's not simple, all these things, because very often you have something on the very top. The question, how close do you hold the esrog? Do you hold it out like this, or what about like this? You hold it close, you notice it. You hold it far away. You have certain situations where when it's green, you won't notice it. But when it turns yellow, you will notice it. It depends on the color of the esrog at the time. Because it has to be noticeable. So if it's, let's say, an intense green, and over time it gets yellowish. So you're not going to notice it. Okay? One second. Let's see the Berura Succos on this. It's important to Berura Succos here. He says, what is, if the chazos is 2 or 3 locations, then it's possible. So he cites a question from the Mishnah. If it's possible in 2, you have to tell me 3. What does the Mechaber mean? If it's in 2 or 3 locations, it's possible. If 2 is enough to validate it, so 3 definitely. So what do you have to say 3? Right? He cites the Mishnah. The Hiksha Mishnah hashta shnayim shloshim iboy. You have the question, Alan? Okay. V'tirtza taz dochi komer. So the taz answers, the mak is shlosha l'shnayim. The ap b'shnayim bino she's pashtu echad michavero al kaponim k'dei shir chazozis shlishi. They shir beza babos dakos esig mashu kechut hasara mafsig ben chazozis ul chazozis she'etzlo mitzad echad chem mitzad hasheni. Av pochs mizer lo mikri menumer. He's saying something like this, that if you have, let's say you have 2 spots, and there's less than a hairbreadth separating from one spot to the other, right? What would that be called? Is that called 1 or is that called 2? So he says if it's less than a hairbreadth, that's called 1. It's called 1. That there's not enough of a separation that you see there's 2. You need minimally as much as a hairbreadth. So 2 and 3 means you have 1 in the middle and you have 1 off to the side. You have a hairbreadth on each side of it. So we're talking about 3, and because you have a hairbreadth on each, so you see the center one as a separate one. Ram Machron Mianu Bitirutza ki the Miyadino Kamashir Hababos the Nimnor Aideze Hefsik Ben Shtei Chazozis. He says, how do we know that the hairbreadth is maybe even less than that? Maybe factually, if the 2 separate spots, that's called 2. Tirtzchi agavne parshas per mefanav tirtzuk dami inchi. That's what I thought. That's what I would have said. The Gemara says that's the way people speak. 2 or 3. He says, nevertheless, they say, but the Taz is correct, that if you have less than a hairbreadth, that you see it as 1. Even if you take a magnifying glass, you'll see there's a separation between 2 of them, but less than a hairbreadth, that's called 1. It always comes up, you have 2 letters touching the Sefer Torah sometimes. So the question is, are they touching, not touching? So there, if you take a magnifying glass and you see clearly they're not touching, they're not touching. But here, we're talking about Hidur, right? Do you see it as 2 or do you see it as 1? So that it's based on the visual. So even though the reality is they're not touching, but, right, they're not touching, But if they look like one, right, it's the way it's perceived. It's not. In the Torah, it depends on, are they factually touching it? It has nothing to do with hodor, right? Of letters touching. Here it's not a question of hodor. Here it's not a question of touching. The question is, does it look spotted? So if visually it looks like one, that's called one. It's not called two. So something is, we said that if the majority of the esrog is covered, he says that has to be both sides of the esrog. Right? The Mishna Berura said the majority has the chazosas on it. There's like one of this continuous growth on the esrog. If it's only 50%, it's valid. We're speaking about where it doesn't touch it's not on the chotem. We said, the Mechaber says, that if the majority of the esrog is covered with a chazosius, it's possible. The majority of the esrog. But he said, but if the chotem, the nodule that comes up, even to a small degree, it's possible. Because that's, visually you see it immediately. Right? That's the Mechaber. So he says, so when we speak about the chotem, is it on one side of the chotem or it has to be both sides of the chotem? Right? We said regarding the chazozis, regarding the actual esrog, it's one side. We don't say the majority of the esrog on one side. Chotem is, it literally means the nodule. That's the upper part of the esrog. We have the pitum on top. It's a nodule. Chotem literally means a nose. It's the nose of the esrog. So over there, he says, the Mechaber says, even if you have a chazosas to a slight degree, it's possible. So to what degree? Does it have to be on both sides? The majority around, or even a slight degree? So that he says, the Be'er Halacha, da afilu koshu, the vare afilu mitzad echad. When we speak about the chotem, even it's on one side, to any degree, it's invalidated. That detracts from the beauty of the esrog. Regarding the lower part, you need the majority, all around. But the upper part, any part of it, because that's seen immediately, therefore it's invalidated. You don't need the majority going around the whole top. One, even true. One, you lift it, you see this. One, to a slightest degree, a mashu. No, that's on the body of the esrog itself. That's the lower part of the esrog. No, that's one, where there's no separation. It's a continuous growth around the esrog. A scab, like on top of the skin. Little ones, and they're not connected, it's possible. You don't need majority there. No, it could be kosher. No. It could be kosher. It's only a slight degree of the chotem. Let's say it covers a millimeter, but that millimeter goes all around. So this doesn't mean that. Even it's on one spot, you have that millimeter, that's enough, that invalidates it. As long as visually you'll be able to see it, it's possible.
Now, how big is that? It depends on the shape of the esrog in terms of the nose.
Well, he's going to speak, that's next Be'er Halacha. What is the chotem exactly? The Mechaber says where it starts narrowing and becomes a point. So at what point do we say that's the chotem? Right? Is it the very bottom? Is it where it really narrows? That's what he speaks from there. Moksha maskul skatzer. I beshus das Rambam varitz geus the chodmo hainu melamalo korv l'shushanto. You hear this? He recites the Rambam and the Ritzgeus. It's literally the very upper part. It's where the pitum is in the very top of the esrog. That's the chotem. So it's a very avalatur shulchan aruch sosmo gedasa rosh varosh, but the Mechaber doesn't say that. Shulchan Aruch says where it starts narrowing, slanting upward, narrowing. It's not the very top, where the pitum is inserted into the top. The Ashipur Kori Chotem, where it starts slanting upward, narrowing. Tzadis Rosh, Techenu Gam Gidas Rabbeinu Chananu Varif, Chen Kos Vatur, Mimokom Shemasl Shapea. That since the majority of the primary Rishonim don't explain it like the Rambam, Chen Gam Ken Kavanas Shulchan Aruch, V'hinei L'chora H'yinira Loma Du Mechatzi Esrog L'malo. So he says, according to them, it's really 50% of the esrog, the upper part of the esrog. Avbem ezeino dimkein hachazozes mishpashet arubo shel esrog memelu al chotmo gamkein. He says, but then we have a problem because we're saying The Mechaber says it has to be the majority of the esrog. A chazos is to invalidate it. But if it's the chotem is included in the majority. But if you're saying anything more than we're saying that where it starts slanting upward is the upper part. So if that's the case, immediately that includes the chotem. So if you're including the upper part, there it's even a mashu, even to the smallest degree. Pratas rashkas the ovi govu shel eser kun nikra chotem. Kein hachos b'spasha rubo dav chotma b'chlal. Yeah. Let's see what he explains it. Yeah. So he comes out, he concludes, he says, according to his humble opinion, what the Mechaber means, he doesn't mean where, if you have a very round esrog, so it bulges in the center, then it starts getting narrow towards the top. But he says it means literally where it starts narrowing towards the top. That's the part we're speaking about. He says, mokom govo. Okay. I don't know if you ever look at an esrog. If you buy, especially without a pitum, it's very visually, you see it easily. On the very top of which is the Rambam, we don't rule like the Rambam, which is a kula. You see a discoloration on the very top, literally, not even where it slants. Where normally the pitum would be, not the hole, but along that surface, the ridge, you'll see a discoloration there. Sometimes you find it. So according to the Rambam, it's definitely possible. I mean, you have a beautiful esrog, then you look at the top, and you have a slight chazozis. You have a slight this discoloration there. It's a growth. No, it's a growth. It's a growth. Sometimes you have it looks like it's like you have a rib. Sometimes you have a sinew in a piece of meat. It's something similar to that on the esrog, on the surface. It's like a dry piece of skin attached to it. And usually it's like whitish. It's whitish. Okay, get closer to Sukkos. We'll be able to maybe bring in some esrogim to see.
The esrogim that we see, they don't bring them because it's impossible.
They sell enough of them here. The chinuch esrogim, you see plenty of them. Okay, let's see the Sharich, the Chovos Levovos.